into your rookie season, what was that adjustment period like for you? When was there a moment where you were like, oh, snap, like, welcome to the league? I know for me, you remember we played Connecticut in our preseason game this year. Nick Hayes hit me with a mean jab, went right on by. I said, oh, damn. Oh, no. And I remember T pulled it up on film. It was just like, yeah, Haley, like, you gotta do better, but I understand you're learning. And I was like, I gotcha. We're getting better. But, what were those adjustments like for you?
My moment was definitely also a preseason. And it was Connecticut. Funny fact, it was Connecticut as well. They had a Kelsey Bone was her name. She was strong. She was strong. And she hit me with the right in the chest. I went flying, Haley. I went and hit the backboard and everything. It was crazy. Yeah. But that was my moment to realize, okay, let me get my weight up.
Presented by State Farm. Welcome back to Sometimes I Hoop. Today we've got another bucket on the pod. 2023 All-Star, 8-year vet, mother to Naomi, and my vet on the Atlanta Dream, none other than Cheyenne Parker. Thanks for hopping on the pod.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, of course. Well, just jumping into the landscape of what's happening in the league right now, things are kind of heating up as we go into this playoff push. So what teams are you keeping an eye on as we head into the last 8 games of the season here?
Well, obviously LA. That's our next game. So I'm focused on them right now and just taking one game at a time. And, it's a lot going on, like you said, throughout the league. So it's easy to get kind of caught up in the hype and everything, but just trying to stay focused on our goals.
Yeah, for sure. LA, we beat them twice, dropped one. And so it's going to be a big game for us Friday. And they've recently moved into the ace spot when they upset the Aces last week, which was crazy. But how do you think the focus and intensity of just the league in general has shifted as we've headed into the second half of season and just even into this playoff push?
Well, players are getting more comfortable out there. They're getting in better shape mid-season time. It's time for other players, younger players to start kind of coming out of their shell, which you're doing wonderfully. But, it's a fun time, players just finding their way, getting their rhythm. And it's exciting basketball to watch for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it completely is. And you have had a breakout season this year. I mean, averaging 14 points, 7 rebounds. And then last week had a career high of 29 against Chicago. It has been so fun being your teammate and getting to cheer you on this season. But what do you think, has kind of allowed for you to be in the role that you're in, the position that you're in this year to just shine like you are?
Well, thanks, Haley. But I would accredit it to just changing kind of my routine. Learning little things, it's funny because after last night, Asia had her 53 on us and it was a very humbling moment for me. And I did a lot of self-reflection and like, just knowing like, okay, I'm a great player, but what separates me from Asia? And one of the things that I think about is the discipline aspect. And that's something that I'm learning late, but it's just like, that saying better late than never. I'm just thankful that I'm finally starting to figure that part of it out. And it's a learning process. There's always going to be like setbacks. There's always going to be moments where I'm getting humbled like that, like last night. But just realizing like how much work it really takes to be a great player. The countless hours of consistency in every way, whether it's what you're watching, what you're eating, how much you're sleeping, and what your routine is. So I think I would accredit it to just changing my routine for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think discipline is something I've definitely had to learn heading into this season, how things are going to work mentally, physically, a lot of ups and downs with those types of things. But who do you think has helped you a lot, or, what are specific changes that you've made in terms of discipline to have that consistency that you've been having this year? Has it been, on-court stuff? Has it been taking care of your body? What have those big changes been for you that have helped you kind of succeed the way that you are this season?
Well, I would say at the top of the list would be my diet. I've always loved eating like everything. I'm a foodie, I love to eat. And so, and sweets is like my weakness. So I had to really like figure out like, okay, if you have this amount of unhealthy foods, you're backtracking all the hard work that you just put in the past 2-3 weeks. And that's something that I started to kind of take more serious coming into the season. And I would say that would be the biggest change, just consistently eating food that fuels me instead of that, like, just weighs you down, fried foods and sugars and things like that. So cutting out certain things and just getting more discipline on my eating habits has been one of the biggest factors of just my overall performance and endurance throughout the season. Also, just like building schedules. Like before I had a daughter, it was like, just go with the flow, do it all, do whatever. But now that I have a daughter, I have to really be a lot more organized and scheduled with my time. Sometimes I'll overbook myself, which is what happened with us last time. And so just being more organized, writing down like what it is I want to do for the day, for the week, my goals. I was a lot more clear on what I wanted this season. And one of my goals was to be an all-star. And so it was exciting to have accomplished one of those goals, but I have more, is to obviously help lead the team to doing some stuff in the playoffs. And so just continuing to make goals, write down goals, and be a lot more organized. Those are the top 2 things for sure.
Backtracking a little bit to your basketball roots, how did things start for you? Who put the ball in your hands?
My brother. He is 15 years older. My oldest brother, he's 15 years older. So he was playing ball when I was like, like a toddler and stuff. And so I have another brother who's 16 months older than me. And he like obviously was obsessed with my brother. And I was just obsessed with him. So it was just like, I wanted to play because they played, and they were playing. So every time they would go play ball, I'd be like, I want to go. Can I come? And I'm like 5 years old, a kid, like, and they were not letting me go. I'm telling you, like, it was kind of sad, but it also was fueling for me because I always like wanted to just prove to them that I could like hang, like, so I always worked on my game. When they would go, I would like play ball by myself. And then my brother and I played a lot together on our little home hoop. Him and I, we were pretty competitive back then.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Definitely my brothers.
Yeah, I have the same experience. Like my older brother, we could only play one-on-one for so long until I started coming in with scratches and bruises. And my mom's like, nope, strictly horse, strictly like dribbling competitions. Because at that point, like just the sheer strength and weight that he had over me, it's not even a competition anymore. It's insane.
What? Wait, so how many years apart were you guys?
We're 3 years apart.
Oh, see, we're only 16 months. So we were like neck and neck. I was a little bigger than him, actually. So.
Yeah, so
3 years is a lot.
Yeah, 3 years. I'm in 6th grade. Like, let's hoop. And he's like a freshman in high school. It's not happening. But I think the older brothers just give you a certain competitive edge. Like once you start playing, AAU and this and that, it definitely gives you a different outlook on the game.
It does. It does. Yeah. I agree.
But you were born in Queens, and then you guys moved to North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So what was it like moving from New York to North Carolina? I feel like that's a big culture shock.
Yeah.
Moving there.
Well, I actually moved to Georgia first.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then North Carolina. So it was like a quick stop in Georgia, which didn't work out at all. And then North Carolina was actually a lot better. But the culture shock from New York to Georgia was tough. Just different, like completely different, And so I struggled a little bit with just like my overall focus, my overall discipline. Like that was when it was like I needed it, but I just, I didn't have the structure. So I got in a little bit of trouble. And then we ended up leaving, thankfully. Like I think that saved us leaving Georgia because I wasn't focused. I wasn't even able to play basketball because I was missing too much school. And then I got to North Carolina and I had my high school coach like telling me like, hey, you got the size, you're pretty good. You can play college ball. And before then I had never thought about it. I hadn't even thought about it. So it was exciting to just have a different perspective and like have something to work towards. And I was just really excited to just start really like taking basketball serious. And I did summer school. I grinded out to make up for like the missed classes and courses that I missed my first 2 years of high school. And I was able to graduate on time and got a scholarship to play ball.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's so special to have like that one high school coach really give you that belief. He believed in you, and then
Yes.
just like instilling that belief in yourself. So getting to those AAU tournaments and things of the sort, a lot of kids, if you don't play on the right circuit, the right team, you're not getting that same exposure. So do you feel like there was a certain like tournament or certain game that put you on the map where you were like, I can play with these other college recruits, like I can get recruited this night, start to believe everything that those coaches are telling you?
Well, it's so different now. When I
Yeah,
played
it is.
AAU, it really wasn't like, oh, you have to be on this team to be in the right tournament. Like,
Yeah.
I guess I was just on a pretty good team in the triad. I heard it was a great team. I had heard from other parents and like some of the other good players on my high school team. But I think it was probably the Battle of the Boroughs that got me some exposure, just because that was where like all the college coaches were. I remember distinctly, like they was lined up
It'd
sitting,
be intimidating. It'd be
Yeah, it
intimidating.
was a
And you got to
little.
walking away during
It
the
was,
games. I'm like, oh
yeah,
God.
it was a little intimidating, but exciting too, because it was like, man, like this is a great, chance to, show my stuff. But from my memory, I don't even really remember those games, like it was so
Yeah.
long ago. I don't even remember if there was an exact time where I was like really standing out. But I think for me, it was a lot of raw talent. Like I said, I had a rocky high school. I never played a full year. Never played a
Mhm.
full year high school basketball. So put that in perspective. And then I didn't even know what a drop step was coming into college.
Yeah.
So I had to like really like get a lot of tuning up once I actually got to college. Um, I ended up going to High Point University first, and it's a D1, but it was just very like not even mid major, below mid major, Big South. Like we just played random teams, like teams you'd be like, oh, okay, what school is that? But it's
Yeah.
still, D1. These are D1 schools
Yeah.
that you just don't know. Like, and then we'll have a couple big teams on our schedule in the beginning of the year to just like see like, okay, so this is the level that we're at, and sometimes we would get blown out by like 20, 30 points.
Mhm.
So that was something that I had to like my junior year, I had to like evaluate and I had to make a tough decision, like, okay, if I want to play pro realistically, what do I need to do? So I had
Yeah.
to leave, I had to go to a different school. And it was what I needed. Like it was a school that still was a mid-major, but made it to the NCAA tournament, had at least one player in the WNBA before. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can be the second, and there we are. Here we are.
Yeah. So talking about High Point a little bit, I mean, you had an amazing 3 years there. You averaged 27 points over your 3 years at High Point, which is insane, CP. Like, what? And so, you talked about coming in with a lot of raw talent. So what were those 3 years like for you, understanding if I want to play pro, these are the things I need to do? So did you kind of have like a certain coach that you leaned on that was really honed into your skill development? Or, what were those 3 years like, just out there getting buckets, averaging whatever a game?
I would say definitely just playing, like getting in there. Like I started immediately, the coach started me. So I was able to just kind of get thrown in the fire. And it started to just develop my game a little bit, just playing. And then different coaches along the way taught me like up and under, post drop steps, simple moves that I started to like, use naturally from just working on them. And then one thing that I always loved to do was like stay in the gym. So I would go to the gym and like work on my shot because I really couldn't shoot much at all. Just simple like mid range. It was broke, Haley. It was broke.
Which is now a bucket.
I told you about it. You remember I was telling you.
You said the growth is insane.
The growth is real. But yeah, so I would say like just like experience and like that relentless type of mindset. Like I'm gonna figure out how to do it until I like can do it with my eyes closed. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I'm with you. Okay, so then after your 3 years, you made the tough decision. We go to Middle Tennessee. So you talked about just like going somewhere where you had opportunity on a bigger stage. They had a pro player before, but you broke like a million records with most blocks in the season. You had a triple dub, single game blocks, average 28 there. So what was that? Was there any type of growing pains moving into more of a mid-major conference into that league? Or, how was that year that you had at Middle Tennessee preparing you for the draft?
Well, it was definitely the coaching there. Like, he was intense.
Gotcha.
Good old Rick Insel. Shout out to Rick. He was intense. And, he just like was the type of coach that would literally stop practice, scream at me, and like, I need you to want the ball every second of the possession. Want the ball. He's a real country guy.
Crazy.
Yeah, the accent was crazy. But it kind of brought out this other part of me that I didn't know I had, like that toughness side. Like he was making some of my teammates cry, bro. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like daily, so it was definitely that toughness level that he kind of turned on for me. But it helped me, like, even though he got on my nerves, it was definitely something that helped me grow as a player and as a person too, because I had to really learn like to take what was being said and not how it was being said. I had to. Yeah.
No, I mean, and then it prepared you because you ended up going fifth overall pick in the 2015 draft, which is amazing.
Yes. Thank you.
But what was that process like? Did you know you were going to go to Chicago? What was the fit? Talk me through, what was that draft process like for you?
It was nerve-wracking, actually. I had a rough ending to my career at MT. I got caught up with the drug test. Failed the drug test, smoking weed. And so that ended up getting me kicked off the team right at the end of the season. And it was like a super like traumatic moment because I had every plan to go play pro, to get drafted, possibly. Like the goal was to get drafted. And I was like, I just felt like I had ruined that opportunity. It was really, really sad time. But one thing I didn't do was stop working. Like I stayed prayed up. I stayed on my knees praying. And then I also stayed in the gym. Like, and I mean like in there, hey, like
I bet
I would go in the morning, came back at 8, went back. Like I stayed in there. So I ended up hiring an agent, and he connected me with Pokey, who was the coach of Chicago. And she called me and she was like, "Hey, I want to fly you out here to meet myself and the owner, and just talk to you because I don't want to judge you off of hearsay. I want to get to know you as a person and see, what your mindset is." And I'm to this day, like, I love Pokey Chapman for one, just taking that chance on me, and for two, not judging me and knowing that I was a good kid and I still, wanted to be great. I just had to take some L's and learn some things along the way, But yeah, Pokey and Michael of Chicago took that chance and drafted me. And it was really an amazing, like crazy experience. Like when they said my name, I was at my apartment. I had all my teammates over. And it was just like super exciting. Like I just cried. Like she drafted me.
He's blubbering. I mean, that's amazing
so funny.
to take, an experience like that at such a turning point in your life and be able to. A lot of people would just sit back and wallow and be like, "My life is over. Like nothing's come of it." But stay in the gym. And I know you. I bet you were Neil back to the gym. Now back to the gym. You were up in there sweating and working.
I was in there.
I bet. Your rookie year was experience, ups and downs, just as every rookie year has. But you talked about the vets that you had and having somebody like Cappy being one of your vets. How special was that to have somebody who'd just like a pillar of the league for so long, a bucket, a great playmaker? What was that like to be able to have somebody to learn like that?
Really cool. One thing that I always like share it because it was the best advice she gave me when I played with her. I asked her, like a few games went by and like I wasn't really too familiar with Cappy's game until I got in the league and like played with her. And I was just like, Cappy, how you be getting all these and ones? Like how do you do it? The people want to know. And
tell us
like, what's the secret? And she said, you get your core strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's all core. And I took that with me. Like to this day, core is like super important to me. And mainly I had a child, so that was a really big process of like getting my core back strong from that. But even before, like I remembered that was something that stuck with me that she told me. And it's like it's an attestant that I can say is like it's true. Like when your core, like even when I like before a game, if I'll do like a few planks, like 30-second planks before the game, I always feel stronger. Yeah. And then it really, really works. Like it's like one of those things. I always feel just stronger and more balanced. Like when I do go in, like give me an and one. So thanks, Cap. Shout out to you.
Great advice. Love it. How would you describe those first 5 years in Chicago? You kind of saw it all, rolled the pond for a little bit. Second year, you're starting, you're doing this and that, you're having this breakout season, but you've always kind of, you were the underdog coming out of college. And so did that mentality stick with you in those opening years of the league, coming out like, I'm going to prove myself, I belong to be here, play a year in China, freaking all-star. Like, what were those years like for your mentality?
Definitely that underdog mentality. I've had that from the beginning. And I think that's something that I'll always have. That just, it helps with my competitive edge because I've always been doubted. I've always been considered, counted out like MT, like MTSU, who? Like Cheyenne Parker? No, you're a drug addict. No, you're not gonna, just all types of things have been said. You know what I mean? Seriously. So It's like, it only just, I use those things as like fuel. Like, all right, you don't think I can make it in this league and I'm going to prove myself and everyone else that I can. So definitely having that like competitive edge, that fuel to just push.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I mean, so in 2021, free agency, you signed with Atlanta. What led to your move from Chicago to Atlanta? How did that go down?
Well, it's kind of sad. I didn't really want to leave. I was happy in Chicago. I loved Chicago. It just, it's a business. At the end of the day, the best answer I can get is that it is a business. They were trying to get Candace in there. It would have been super amazing to play with Candace. Like I was actually looking forward to that. But, there's but so much money they can put on the table. And going into my prime years, it was super important for me and for my career to make the decision. But it was also a tough decision. I didn't want to make that decision, and it ended up biting me right on in the butt because they won the championship the next year.
Damn, I did not realize that. That's so tough, CB. Oh no.
And Haley, like we've had this conversation.
I got you.
Crazy. It was, and I was pregnant, but I mean, I wasn't going to be able to play anyway because I ended up being pregnant, and I was watching them like play in the championship, and they won, and I was like pregnant and like crying, just like I can't believe they just won. It's so funny.
I have so many emotions. It's like, so many. I'm happy about the situation. Could have been me. Could have been a ring.
I was happy for him, but I was also super like sad.
I'm with you. Yeah.
A lot of emotions.
That makes sense. But you mentioned 2021 was another big year for you. You had Naomi.
Yes.
So a lot of things changed. So how was it having a baby when you're still pursuing, your WNBA career really in your prime?
Well, it was definitely unexpected. Definitely not planned. I was super, super focused on like you said, like coming into my prime, like coming to Atlanta, ready to help change the culture, ready to help change this, because the Atlanta wasn't doing well at all. They hadn't made the playoffs in a few years. So I was just really excited to come help change that. And getting pregnant was not like a part of that plan. But that's just me. I always gotta do something tough and impossible.
Taking it up.
Yeah. Like, so it was quite a journey. It was quite a journey. I had to change my mindset. Like, obviously now it's like she comes first and foremost, you know, and ball is still life, but Naomi is life, and then ball is life, you know. And I'm thankful that I can share this with her. Like, I say this all the time, it's super cliche, but she really is someone I never knew I needed, because she's the one that kind of like gave me that push to like, okay, you've been playing in the league for 8 years now. What are you going to do to take it to that next level as a player? And that was when I really started to like self-reflect on my discipline, my consistency, you know, and the certain habits and routines that I needed to make and change to see it change. So she kind of gave me that motivation to like, you know, take it all the way, you know, because she's going to see one day, she's going to look back and like see like, wow, you did all of this after you had me. Like, I can do this, or, you know, just giving her that recognition that women are pretty dope.
Something that's been talked about a lot recently is just the growth of the league, specific to like women's sports, WNBA growing, social media presence growing, about people just talking about the WNBA. So have you seen that, you know, change over the course of your WNBA career in terms of coverage?
Oh yeah. Even from like year to year, I remember going in the first few years, no one knew us around the city. Something as simple as that. No one even knew who we were. We would be like, oh yeah, we play for this guy. They'll be like, who's that? Who's this guy? And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I have to explain it. We can't take it personally. But then 2-3 years later, they're stopping us like, hey, there's Cheyenne Parker from the sky. Like, and that was something that was really exciting to see, just how they worked really hard to try to get us more exposure and just in different ways, you know, like different events, different ads. And sometimes it's gonna cost, you're gonna have to pay money. Sometimes things are gonna cost, but it's worth it in the end. And I think the more people realize that, the more people invest in us, the more we reap the benefits. We see like the viewership. The more times we get on TV, the more views we start to have. And you just see like, it's like, okay, like it's going in the right direction though, you know? So that's the good news. It is going in the right direction.
Yeah, I completely agree. But so headed into our last section here, it's called the vibe check. It's going to be rapid fire answers, or as close to rapid fire as you can get. Some of these are kind of thinkers. So I believe in UCP. It's going to be great. It's going to be really good. Starting with hopefully an easy one. Who was best dressed at the draft?
Oh, easy. Haley.
Thank you. That's like easy answer.
You were sharp, sis. You were sharp.
Thanks. Okay. Best dressed in the league.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna give it to Ryan. Ryan is the best dressed in the league. Yes. She works hard on those outfits.
I'm a fan. Okay. What's a drill you never want to see on our practice plan?
Gosh, I can go down the line.
A 22? I'm trying to run a 22.
Yeah, I think that might be at the top.
Who's the biggest trash talker in the league?
Definitely Diana. She's definitely.
Yeah. And then who's the biggest flopper?
Ooh, floppers. Get me started. This is getting aired. All right, let me be good. I'm
weak.
This year, who's been flopping?
A few that we've gotten. Sophie has been an answer. Cunningham.
Sophie. She's the biggest one this year. It's definitely Sophie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She got Nas. She got Nas twice.
They get Nas. We watched it on film. That was crazy. Okay, what's your biggest basketball ick?
Oh, probably when people complain about a foul and like it was clearly a foul and they're
Yeah.
literally like,
Especially when you see it on the replay and it's like,
yeah. And it's like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are
For
you
real.
here?
Okay. Who's your basketball GOAT?
I would say Maya.
You say Maya.
Maya.
Maya's my answer. Maya's my answer too. Okay. And then last question here is I hope T watches this. What's your best impersonation of Coach D?
That's impersonation of Coach T.
She's got a lot of one-liners.
Get back, CP! Get back, CP!
That's good. That's good. I always think of Sleep Nights Leash. Oh, hi, Mary. Hey, girl. Hey, Queen.
Say hi. Hi. Say hi, hey.
Hi. Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
Hi. Oh my God, this is making my day. Well, thank you so much, CP and guest star Naomi, for being on. It has been such a pleasure.
Absolutely. Our pleasure as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week for another episode of Sometimes I Hoop. Bye.
Bye.